Murder.
Chalk outlines.
DNA tests.
Blood.
Anonymous tip.
Beheadings and disembowelments.
Fingerprints.
The yellow tape that they have on crime scenes.
Witness statements.
Stakeouts with my cop friend and we drink coffee. UV lights that they can see on 5 minutes.
G'day there, podcaster, and this is another episode of True Crime. In about 5 minutes, Belle's going to do her best to tell us a gory or gruesome or horrible story in about 5 minutes.
So this week, like we did a few weeks ago ahead of the Menendez Brothers Netflix special, I want to touch on a story, a real true crime story that is now, might be popping up on your Netflix For You page. It's called Woman of the Hour on Netflix, and you guys actually told me to watch it.
Well, I won't take credit for that. That's a Ben one.
Yeah, my wife Sam was watching it when I was leaving for work. I caught the first 5 minutes of it, and it seemed like a good show. But all I know is that there was a lot of murder. I think maybe 5 people, and it had something to do with game shows.
And
Yes.
Anna Kendrick's in it.
Yep.
Yes, so Anna Kendrick does star in it. She also, I think she directed it as well, which I only found out afterwards. But it is fantastic. It's like a 90-minute movie, so you may be seeing it pop up on your page at the moment. But let's get the true story behind what inspired this movie. So it does center around the serial killer Rodney Alcala. He was around in the 1970s in LA and New York. He did span across a few different cities in the US and also was killing for around about 15 years before he was caught. It is believed that he may have murdered up to like 130 women,
Whoa.
which is a huge number, but he was only sentenced for about 9 of them.
They always sort of throw those big numbers out there for the ones back in the day, hey, because it was like sort of
There's
no
no
real
DNA,
way of, so they're
all
just like,
that.
who knows how many he killed, yeah.
Exactly. And it's really disappointing because, at the end it says, or if you do any research for this story, it says, he was put away for 9, but there's a list of all
9
of these
years?
women. No, 9 killings.
Oh.
But there's a list of all these women that did disappear around that time and that he was kind of semi-linked to. So very, very sad stuff. And again, it's one of those stories where he was just roaming around for years before getting caught. It did all start back in the 60s where he did assault a young woman and got away with it. He then just fled to New York. For a fair few years, he was living over there under a different name. He went by John Berger. And
Poor choice of fake name.
Oh, yeah.
I need to think of something airtight.
Which-
like John Berger.
Actually-
Something that no one will ever suspect.
Never pick an alias on an empty stomach.
yeah. My name's Jimmy Hot Dogs.
He did spell it B-E-R, and then he later changed it to B-U-R.
Well, that's true. Like,
So-
BER is like there's like German
Yeah.
burgers and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. But with BU, that's just a burger.
Yeah. So he was having a bit of an identity crisis. But that is another wild thing about the 70s is that you could just up and leave to a different city and go by a different name. And he got so cocky about being like on the run for all these years after assaulting so many women that he became known as the dating game killer. And that's because he got so far as to appear on a TV show as a bachelor on a dating game show under his real name.
He's a skydiver, so he's got a lot of nerve. He's into motorcycling. He's also a fine photographer. Say hello to Rodney Alcala. Rodney, come on and say hello.
His friends call him Burger.
Okay. So at this point, he's been running around killing a lot of women horribly. And
Now I
he's,
feel bad about the joke.
Yeah. Well, you guys, you always try and make jokes in these episodes. Don't do that.
We're just trying to, I don't know. It's hard to know your place, isn't it? Like, we don't know the story. But.
Yeah.
So he appears on this dating game show. And if you watch the Netflix movie, it does kind of revolve around that game show. And he became known as a dating game killer because, he's on the TV show. He's selling himself. He's really selling himself as Bachelor number 1.
Number 1, would you say hello to Cheryl, please? We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
Is that his voice?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's him. Yeah. And he was actually dubbed the most handsome bachelor on this TV show. He's selling himself. She actually chose him on the TV show and said, yep, I choose bachelor number 1.
Can you not say what happens to her? Because I kind of want to watch the Netflix show.
Well, I think you know what happens.
Yeah, no, I can say what. Yeah, I don't have to say what
Okay,
happened.
no, we're not doing no spoilers. We're getting the story.
Okay, well, she's
Oh.
fine. So she
well,
actually
now you've
chose
ruined it.
him and then pulled out of going on the date and the holiday and the trip with him after because she said he was actually just gave up like way too many creepy vibes.
Right.
It is exaggerated in the movie a lot. It's exaggerated and you'll see that. But in real life, she just said actually he just seemed a bit
Well, that's
creepy.
good.
Yeah. So she then came out and said, "Oh my gosh, I dodged a killer there."
So she's still kicking that woman?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, she's around, so all good. So anyway, so fast forward to a few more years, and he then got done for all of his killings because he was on a most wanted sign in a post office, and some girls that he was working at a girl camp at
Yeah.
recognized him and turned him in, and then he
Whoa.
got done for
How
it.
long was he put in jail for?
So he was given life and
Yeah.
actually sentenced to death.
Okay, so he's dead now.
He is dead now, but he didn't get killed. He died of natural causes in
Right.
prison in 2021. So he did serve the rest of his
Isn't
life
that
in
weird
prison.
that, when people like there's the death sentence, but then they're on death row for like 30 years or whatever. And it's
Mm.
like, I suppose there's the appeals and all that, but I don't really know how it works in America. Like, why is it so long? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. 'Cause
I
back in
know
the
some
day-
people they're on like literally on death row, and it's like they're proven innocent, and it's like, oh my god,
Yes.
thank God they weren't murdered back then. But-
Maybe it is a case because like we're talking, 80 years ago, people were put on death row and then murdered, or not murdered, but killed the next year.
Yeah.
And they were hanged and then later found out innocent. So
yeah, so maybe they have to like have that little buffer in there.
Look,
but,
this is all great discussion, guys, but we have gone over the 5 minute
True.
time.
one more
True.
point.
I'll allow it.
But I'll be eating a chip.
Yeah, Liam's been eating chips this whole time. Do we have to...
Specifically Nando's.
So
sponsor, guys.
he also, I found this fascinating because in the movie he doesn't go into it, but when you look him up, he was actually still being found DNA wise and just circumstance wise up until like the last decade. They were still linking murders to him. So he's been sitting in prison up until his death, and they're going, "There's another one. There's another one. There's another one." So it
I
is
suppose
very
that's another
sad.
reason of not if someone's like a known serial killer to not kill them straight away if they're on death row. If they could potentially solve other
Yeah,
cases.
true.
I don't know.
True.
Like that show Mindhunter where they talk to all the killers,
That is a good one.
which I've seen. No, I always watch the first 2 episodes. And I'm like, I get bored.
Guys, the time is gone. We've got to wrap this
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
and I got
yeah,
chips
yeah.
to eat.
Yeah.
So we got to get out.
We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.